So what does this all mean? There's a little mistake here. It should be prostrate, menma adra, and loosen so that you can know. Firstly, the first term, jed. Jed means to prostrate. And that's what you do when you do the altar, and you take your face down to the floor, sort of in a manner of kissing the floor. You curl your toes under, and you're on your knees. That is called a prostration, and that prostration is termed jed. This symbol is a cartouche, and this symbol is one of the names of Seti Ua. It means men ma'atra. Men ma'atra. And we'll go back to that a little bit. So this line is like Ausar is talking. And Ausar is telling Seti, this is Seti Ua's temple. Seti Ua. So Ausar is telling Seti Ua to prostrate and loosen so that you can know. But if you were to read this line as a spiritual seeker, Men Ma'atra, that name, you would insert your name there. So this line can be read by anyone. So it starts out by prostration. So the teaching is exhorting one to have humility, in other words. It's easy to say, oh, be humble, let's be humble. But you have to do certain things to be humble. You have to train yourself to be humble. It's not something that you're born with. And the first aspect of that is the physical aspect, prostrating yourself with your body. And after you while prostrating yourself, then you're developing an internal, when you prostrate yourself, is that you are surrendering to the divine. You have to surrender to the divine. Only if you want peace. And we'll come back to that a little later. And then it says loosen. It means to let go of the ego so that you can know. You follow? The ego is the inhibitor of knowledge and truth and wisdom. The ego is what's blocking everything. But the first thing that needs to be done is that there needs to be a softness that develops in the heart. That softness is developed by prostrating and giving yourself to the divine. There's a teaching, and the teaching says, give thyself to God, give thou thyself daily for God, and let tomorrow be as today. There's a teaching from our own sage Ani, an ancient African teaching. It means that your every day should be an offering to the divine. Your actions are not your actions. Your actions are, this is how you're to view it, that the divine is working through you and performing the action. You're only a vehicle for the movement of God in the world. The problem arises when human beings believe that they are doing, and it is I, or me, or mine. And then that creates a problem. Because only the divine can do it. Human beings cannot do it. So, again, back to this area of surrendering to the divine to find peacefulness in life. You have to surrender to something. But what happens is that in this culture, most people surrender to the dollar. And then people run around and they want to find out, well, why they're frustrated and why they're irritable all the time. Because they're surrendering to something that cannot give them peace. And what does it mean to surrender to the divine? It means to give up your egoistic notion of yourself completely. There's an aspect of you that wants to perform in the world. It wants to control the world. Control things, control your actions. That is the ego manifesting itself. That control aspect of your personality. When you give up that control, what happens? You become loose, you feel free. Because if you can give up wanting to control, you don't have to feel tense if it doesn't go your way. If only the divine can do, then if something doesn't go the way you want it to, then how can you feel tense if you know that, okay, the divine wants it to go that way? So surrender. It means completely disfiguring the notion of yourself as the doer. But it shows you here that in ancient Africa, people prostrated themselves. So if we're practicing African religion, spirituality, we must practice prostration, surrender. And with this surrender, you find peace. That's the thing about it. But it's almost like what goes on. You have to give a little, you have to give something to get something. But you're not doing it to get it, but you're doing it to get it anyway. So it's like you're not really doing it to get it, you're doing it to show adorations to the divine. Dua to the divine. But you're also doing it because of what you're going to get from it. And having peace, what does peace do for you? Peace is like when they're going to build a house, they have to make it even so that the floor space is even. So they have to grade the topsoil to even the ground so that you can put an even floor on the ground. That's what peace is. Peace is the even floor that you need to build a house of enlightenment. Because you might believe enlightenment is not for you. But that's another erroneous concept. Enlightenment is for you. So you have to start believing differently. Enlightenment is for me. The reason is enlightenment is for every soul that comes into this world. You are one amongst the billions of souls that has emerged in this world. And your legacy is enlightenment. And this idea of loosening so that you can know means to give up the tightness of your personality. Be like putty, be like clay. In other words, start to relax. But again, you have to do things to relax. So, no matter what circumstance, you can't miss a day of meditation. You have to be like Heru. What if Heru Bedhead had one day said, I didn't want to go out there and fight the thieves. I don't want to go to that next temple. I don't want to go to the Dendera temple today. I'll just stay home. What would you think would happen? But Heru doesn't do that, does he? He doesn't take a holiday. There's no holiday in